Yeah, I can do.
That's better. We get a bit of feedback.
Good evening, councillors. Welcome to this extraordinary meeting of the Greater Hume Shire on the 27th of January 2021. My goodness. In accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice, this meeting will be recorded and placed on Council's website for public information. All present today are reminded that by speaking you are agreeing to your view and comments being recorded and published. You are also reminded that if and when speaking you are to be respectful to others and use appropriate language. Greater Hume Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures during this meeting. I declare the meeting open and I invite Councillor Quinn to lead us in prayer. Thank you, Councillor Quinn.
Dear Lord, thank you very much for the great agricultural season we've just had. Please help all those who are out of work and seeking work to find work, and help the world to find a cure for this coronavirus. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Quinn. I'd like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wiradjuri people, and I pay my respect to their elders past and present. We don't have any apologies or leave of absence. Councillor Meyer is tuning in via Zoom. Any disclosures of interest? Nil. Thank you. Reports from officers, part A, sorry. It's in front of you. Mr. Smith, would you like to lead off with any explanations?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In relation to the Colking Early Childhood Centre, basically it's what's transpired here is not necessarily unexpected. We've been working with the committee now for quite a while, probably almost 12 months, in relation to bolstering their governance capabilities and so on and so forth, which the committee have done. They've certainly done their utmost to keep going and to improve the practices around the governance and so on. But you know, I think I've said it in interviews and so on when this first broke. These days, I think it's unfair to expect a volunteer management committee to be running a childcare service. You know, you could say the same for aged care and so on. The level of complexity, the level of regulation, the responsibility on the committee to run a childcare centre has just got to the point now where I think it is beyond reasonable to expect a volunteer management committee to take on that responsibility. A number of the committee at Colcan don't have any children at the centre and haven't had any children at the centre for some time. They're on the committee purely and simply out of their desire to keep the centre operating. But you know, a time has to come when they say, well, I've done my bit, and unfortunately there just isn't the capacity and the willingness of people to come forward to take their place. So as I said in the report, without a committee they can't have the incorporated association, and therefore they can't have the centre operating. I don't like to say that we don't have any choice. There's always a choice, I suppose. The choice is that we don't have the childcare service in Colcan, but given the capacity that we have and the technical expertise that we have, I think it's incumbent on council to transition the service over, the same as we've done with the other services in Henty, Waller and Holbrook. and embed it within Greater Hume Children's Services. If Council approves the recommendation tonight, my intention is to meet with the committee and the director tomorrow evening, where we'll thrash out the nuts and bolts, I suppose, of a transition plan. The benefit of the coal can proposal is that at least we've got some time on our hands, and the committee have agreed to stay on until 30 June. You know, a bit like, unlike some of the others where it was all rush. We'll have a few months to get all the ducks in a row and make sure that everything plays out how it should. My first priority, starting tomorrow, will be to reassure the staff that their jobs are secure. Childcare staff, qualified childcare staff, are very, very hard to get, and we'll be doing everything that we can to ensure that the existing staff at the centre are retained and transition over to us. The staffing at the centre there is, there's no issues with the staff that we're aware of, so there's no reason at all why any of those staff can't transition over. As I said, that will be my number one priority starting tomorrow, to make sure that the staff are put at rest and that any concerns that they've got in relation to their job security are put to bed. Happy to take any questions. You know, I think given our experience over the last couple of years, we know the process at least in making this happen. I've already made contact with the Department of Education and put them on notice that we'll be looking to negotiate some funding through them. You know, we may need to call on the assistance of our federal member if need be, but you know, I'm not expecting too many issues. The last thing that, you know, previous experience shows, the last thing that the government wants is for childcare centres to close where there's no other viable alternative. So I think they'll come to the party, and it's just a matter of us jumping through the hoops now, getting regulatory approval, transitioning staff and everything that goes with it.
Thanks very much, David. Are there any Councillor Short?
I'm happy to move the recommendation, but there's a couple of things I wanted to say as well. So do we have a motion first?
Yes, we'll have the motion. I'll get it moved and seconded, and then we can deal with it.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Councillor Short,
Thank you.
Councillor Hicks, seconded. Councillor Short, questions?
It was just, thank you for the detailed information, Dave, and like you said, you've sort of had a bit of practice now. You're quite adept at these childcare centres. With the preschool side of it, does that affect many, like numbers very much? And what are the forward-going numbers? Have they had a chance to sort of look at that sort of thing?
What I'll be asking the committee to do, I'll be presenting the committee with a list, if you like, of all of the information that I'll need, and that's one of them. I need to know how many children they got enrolled in the preschool side and how many they got enrolled in the long daycare side. But going forward, we will be running it as a long daycare centre, okay? We won't be running it under the hybrid model that it's operating under at the moment, simply because you know, our services are all long daycare through the CCS model. You know, it's just going to complicate issues if we try and run a hybrid service that's different to our other programs. So
yeah, no, I didn't mean that we still had the preschool, but if it had made a lot of difference with numbers of children that would be attend, you know, around, whether there's a big...
No, look, I don't think so.
No, that's fine.
I'm not expecting the numbers and the enrolments to be impacted at all. But basically, what we'll be doing is we'll be running it as a long daycare centre with a preschool program.
No, that's great.
Yep.
The other thing was I do believe it's important to have the facility for childcare in Culcairn, and I think I've heard there's younger families have started to move with the exodus out of some of the bigger cities. There's a few more people moving in to Culcairn for pricing and just to have some fresh air and sunshine. So I think it's vital that we look after the childcare. It'd be great.
Councillors, any other comments or questions? Councillor Quinn, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's no drama with me with the recommendation, but as part of the local government circus, I think we should be looking at all the red tape that bureaucracy puts in place everywhere. Right across this shire, the halls are folding, everything's folding. It's not just the age factor. There's a generation coming through for some reason or other can't get involved. But we've got to get the younger generation through, and I think there's some time in the very near future we want to sit down as a council and do a thorough search. I don't think that when we try to market land, we're going to get people coming at the present market rates. I don't know how you do it, it'd be discriminatory, but you've got to target the lowest socio-economic bracket, and you've got to almost give the blocks away, and that will bring population. We've had the blocks at Waller on the market now for 12, 15 months. Very little action, I think, and it's because the way Albury Wodonga was set up, those that wish to move will come to almost Gerodry and pay big money for land, but the people who want a bit of land very cheaply can't move out a bit further because it's not reduced, sort of thing. It's a long-winded statement, Madam Mayor, but these are the people that will keep these outfits going, these child facilities going. Otherwise, we'll have a whole heap of facilities that are only half manned, and I think it's a big project. And yesterday's Australia Day showed very obviously there were children there from people participating, but otherwise the 30, 40 year age bracket just wasn't there. That's a big problem from this shire, let alone anywhere else.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Parker, please.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Well, I must have been sitting in a different spot, Councillor Quinn, because I actually was surrounded by young families yesterday in the middle section and lots of children. And I don't think that low socio-economic people are the only people that use childcare. I think that's actually completely wrong. Most couples, both people have to work nowadays. And in Holbrook, there are no blocks of land for sale and no houses for sale. So I disagree with that comment.
Thank you. Councillor O'Neill, do you wish to make?
Oh, no, I just like to give the motion.
Yeah, good. Thank you. All right, I think we've all been given the opportunity. It's fairly clear what we need to do, I think. The resolution is before you on the screen. I'd ask you to please vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. I think that's a very good result for the people of Culcairn. Engineering, tender TL14.
Move the recommendation.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillors Hicks and Quinn, do you wish to comment?
No.
No, happy. Is there any opposition, councillors? All in favour? Yes. Carried. Thank you. Unanimously. Tender TL15.
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Councillor Hicks and
Draw.
Councillor O'Neill. Thank you.
I'll second.
You wish
Can I
to
just ask
speak?
a question, please? Originally, the bits and pieces from other skate parks were going to Waller, so they're not going to be used at all now? No.
That's correct.
Yeah, so is there any way, any
We'll,
proposed site for those? Or-
no, we haven't thought about that yet because obviously this funding came only recently to allow the skate park to be built. So I guess we'll have a rethink. That may be an opportunity to put somewhere, or we have a sale and make some money. We'll wait and see.
Very good. favour? Yes, carried unanimously, thank you. Very good. That's enough. Tender number TL 16.
I'll move that, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Weston has moved
Seconded.
and seconded Councillor Quinn.
Those people were delighted, they've waited a long time. They gradually walked it down, Mr. Blackie, and I'm delighted to see that.
Does anyone wish to speak other than Councillor Quinn? No, you're prepared. Councillor Schill?
I was just with the, what do you call it?
Tender.
The little graph that you work it out on.
The matrix.
Matrix, that's the word. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Did we have Exel Grey Brunei do the other part of Kaiwong Road?
They did the culvert work. They only built the
Only the
culvert.
culverts,
Council
okay.
staff actually built Kyle and Howland, and we would have built it ourselves, but we're a bit busy this year, so no, they built the culverts.
Okay.
They didn't do anything else, no.
No, that's all right. That explains, yep, a couple of things I had in my head, that's all. And it's good to see that Longford have a 9 for their safety record. That's important, yes. And quality. Thank you.
Mike?
Sorry.
Sorry. Item number 1, the land acquisition, Copperbella Road. Oh, sorry, I thought
Unanimously.
everybody voted. Those in favour? Yes, unanimous. Thank you. Okay, now we're on to the land acquisition. Are there any comments or questions?
Just a
Question?
Madam Mayor, to the engineer, the project manager, is that a staff member or is it another outsider?
He's a casual staff member on staff just for this specific project. He's not a contractor, he's just a casual staff member.
Thank you.
Anybody wish to ask any more?
I'll just move the motion.
Councillor Hicks has moved. Councillor Quinn will second. Any further comments or questions? No. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. That's excellent. You'll all have an early mark. The time is